Hi everyone, it's Mickey here from A Pretty Talent, and I am back with a video for our art journaling course that we're doing. So in the first video of lesson 6, and we are now in lesson 6, I pretty much just introduced the lesson. Ooh, there's a spider here. That caught me unawares. Okay, dear spider, there you go. Okay, there's not room enough for the two of us, however small you are. I've lost track of where I was. Okay, so in the first video, I simply introduced this lesson. In the second video, we prepared the journal, and now we are finally going to start addressing the different pages. I want to come back to this page that we really just finished the last lesson on. And it's one of those hinge pages. It's neither part of the previous lesson, or is it part of this lesson. It's a pocket page, really just to separate two lessons. Now, I have these cute little booklets with stickers, and I was thinking I should maybe use that. I also want to kind of just stretch myself here. I've got a set of stamps from my last steamer haul still lying here on the side. Well, because I want to use it before I pack it away. It's the real reason. So this is a humongous set. I'm kind of just looking quickly, is there anything in here that I could use? There's a lot in here that I could use. I like that one, Jesus Loves Me. Now let me see if I can find that. Oh, there's a card. I like that one as well. My future belongs to God. Sure, there are a few here that I actually really like. Really, really like. This one, You Are Loved. How about this one? Okay. Hang on, let me not get too caught up. You are loved. Oh, goodness. There's a little cross here that wasn't weeded. Okay. So you are loved. Maybe not there. Maybe here. On the opposite page. I'm just trying to think. I'm looking for things to do that is going to be a little bit mixed media to just finish this page off, because it's a very unfinished page. This is another sticker I have. I've got my sticker box. Let me show you. I've got a whole box of... Oh, I'll just have to sort of bring it through. A whole box of stickers. I've actually got 2 of these boxes of stickers in my craft room that I use for fillers whenever I need something, and I kind of like this one. Oh, this is not a sticker. Actually, oh, then I'm going to save it for something else. Okay, so what else have I got then? These fabulous birds. Don't know that I like the birds per se. Nah. They don't really do anything for me there. What about these? I kind of like these better. They're also not so shiny. Yeah, then I might like a bird. Okay, so let me play around a bit. Okay, I wanted you to be part of this process because I think it is important that, you see, it doesn't always just come naturally sometimes we need to kind of work a little bit at things to make it work. Now I want to first get my inks. Oh, and I've rearranged everything in my house. A friend phoned me and he said he was on Facebook Marketplace and he saw this fantastic art cabinet. And would I be interested? And I was. I really was. And so we went and we bought this day before yesterday, and I'm still kind of filling the shelves and things. But my inks are now arranged in the drawers. And the drawers come out. And they're just absolutely lovely to use. Lovely, 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 lovely to use like this. So nicely organized. I'm going to use this Tiger ink. And just put this idea there. I like it there. You are loved. I've been working on the journal a bit off camera in order to save time, but when I get to those pages I'll tell you what I've done. I'll let you in on all of this. But yes, I don't want to do everything off camera, and in the end you kind of don't know what it is that's happened and how did the journal end up looking like that. I kind of feel you need to be part of the process, isn't it? I'm looking through, you know, these stencil sets that we've been given as well. Maybe this one with the hearts. Why not do the whole thing? And I'm going to stick to the same green. I'm not even going to change colors. Just a little bit of mark making all over the page. I think we need to bring it in here as well. Kind of like the idea of it coming onto the other page as well. Yeah. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to leave off now because I don't want the whole thing to be stenciling. Just a little bit of stenciling. And now I want to come in with these fantastic little stickers. I like this one because it's the right color range. Let me flip it here and you can sort of look with me if there's something else. I think maybe that one, but let's first go for this one. And then what I want to do, I think what I want to do is actually to tear it up a bit. Like that, yes. And then I'm going to bring this in here. Stick it down. trying to get this off the backing. I'm going to stick this one down here. Yeah, I like that. Now, should I do another one as well? Kind of wondering whether I should or not. Maybe not. Maybe that'll be a bit too much. So what else do I want to do? I want to come in with these little things that I've pulled out. I like this flower. I like this flower. Oh, getting these stickers off their backings. It's not as easily done. I have a tool here. I'm kind of wondering why I'm not using it. There we go. When you use the tool, it becomes so much simpler. This is the right choice. Can you see how you can still see the text coming through these stickers? I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Shall we? I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. What do I want to do? I'm going to go for it. It's maybe a little much, but why not? Get an edge that I can lift here. When I now pull it off so easily with a tool, I cannot help but wonder to myself, why don't I always grab my tools first? Why do I feel the need to struggle before I grab my tools? Do I like these? I like this one. Let me just see. Yeah, like that. I feel as if I don't want this one. I feel as if I want I honestly keep feeling as if I need something else there. Now what do I have? Okay, here are some more sticker thingies. I want that. This one's bent over. Let me just straighten out. I kind of like the drama of this one, but I think I would like that better. Well, that might be a mistake, but we're going to make that mistake then. And if it's not a mistake, we will be very glad. What on earth? Why are you not lifting? Oh, you are a sticker, aren't you? I'm struggling with the stickers tonight, people. I want the whole video to be about me taking stickers off their backings. No, let me just pause and I'll come back once I've done this, because otherwise I'm going to bore you to death. Okay, I'm back. And I have reached the conclusion that these are actually not stickers. They are printed vellum die cuts, which would account for me not being able to take any backing off of them. So what I have done is I have put double-sided tape at the back of this, and I'm using that to stick it down. Do I want to cut that off? I think it can go over. It'll be fine. If I don't like it later, I can always remove it. I don't think I need anything else. I think anything else would be a bit overkill, so I'm going to stick to that. I'm not going to do anything else there. And this page, I'm not going to call it gorgeous, but it looks a whole lot better than it did. It looks a bit more finished. Now, our next page is a watercolor page. So let me move that one back there. And for this, I have to say, if I sound a bit odd, I've got a very light cold. Almost not at all, but still there, still irritating and present nonetheless. And yeah, anyways, I'm dealing with that as well. So, what was I saying? Our first page that we do for the art journaling is on watercolor paper. It's going to come here in our journal. And the Bible verse that we are working on is Mark 10, verse 21, that reads as follows. Jesus looked at him, and this was a rich young man that came to speak to Jesus. Jesus looked at him. Let me just fill you in on the background. I hate it when there's no background. He asked him about the great commandments, and when Jesus realized this was someone who knew how to love his neighbor as himself and love God, this is what preceded. Jesus looked at him and loved him. One thing you lack, he said. Go, sell everything you have and give it to the poor, and then you will have a treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me. And the rich man went away saddened by this. And there's something to say for that, isn't it? We can't follow Jesus as long as we're holding on to things. It's a heavy load to drag with you. You're not free to follow as long as things rule you. So this is what is going to go in here. Now, how did I do this? Let me quickly show you this. It's a simple black ballpoint pen. There's nothing to that. But I have this ruler, which has a bit of a, well, it has that edge. It's got a straight edge on this side and that edge on that side. And it's also a magnifying glass. So it's a cute little novelty ruler that I've got. And that's what I use there. Now, how do we depict this? I wonder. I wonder. It's possibly a bit of a challenge, I think. Well, let's look at what it is that we want to do in this art class. We want to work in watercolor, obviously, watercolors, and we want to work with facial features. And for that purpose, we've got this stencil. Let me just get it in view of the camera. That's part of our parcel. And so I think we must perhaps look at using this. Shall we make it simple? Let me get the book out of the way. We can bring the book back once we've created our art. Shall we make this first one really simple? You just see, I'm still in, yes, in shot of the camera. So this depicts the golden ratio of facial features, where the pupils of the eye are in the center of the face, and of course the center of the nose is in the center of the face. And then your hairline pretty much starts at the top half, and your point of your nose is in the bottom half. And then it's halved again for the underlip. And you can see the halves run through the pupils. Okay, the half runs through the nose, and then the quarters run through the pupils. And those are called the golden ratios. I think it's rather self-explanatory, but if not, then do feel free to look up a little bit more on golden ratios. Now, we also were given this sketchbook in a previous lesson, and I'm kind of wondering, do they have a table of contents? Yes, there we go. Drawing a face, 36 to 39. Okay, first they start on how not to and how to, all combined. Okay, and then later on I did see more activity. Okay, so for those of you who are doing the course and are following in the videos and things afterwards, do refer to that book as well. I'm going to do this. I'm simply going to bring in my sketch pencils, and I want to use a really hard one. Well, that's a really soft one. What is this? A 2H pencil will do. And I'm not going to be creative with this first face that we're doing. I'm going to just simply take the lines from the stencil, not the grid lines, only the facial feature lines. And we'll make this not a drawing challenge, but we'll rather concentrate on the painting with this first activity. Okay, let's look at the facial features. Okay, curious that. We'll see how this turns out. I haven't used the stencil. Bought it for the classes, but I haven't used it. It's kind of anybody's guess how this is going to turn out now, but we'll see. We'll soon see. Keeping track of all these lines which ones should be in and which ones should not. I think I've got all the necessary lines in. Well, if not, we'll bring it back. Okay. It's a very very boring face at this stage, isn't it? Well, okay. I suppose we can work with this. Now, how do we link this up to our verse? I suppose it's about focus. And this person certainly looks focused. Where's your focus? Is your focus on things or is your focus on God? Are your eyes focused on this world and what it has to offer? Or do you believe, truly believe that God has more to offer? And therefore you are relinquishing your hold on things so that you can follow God. That's the question. I am going to grab all of my painting stuff because I don't want to work with all the stencils and all the paints. I would be so cluttered. So let me get my painting stuff and I'll be back. Okay, so what we have is, well, I've got some water in there. I've got a little paint palette there. I have, let me just open this one. I have a rather extensive set of watercolor paints over here. And my firm favorites over here. Then I just sort of spread it out. Then we have received these paint brushes in the course, and I also have my aquash brushes at hand. So let's see what I want to use. Now, honestly, I should start somewhere else with this. Let's start with a very quick introduction to watercolors, and I'm going to work on these little off-cut papers that we've saved. It's wet here where I'm working. So let me take this out of the way and put this down there. And what you want to do is, first off, have a spray bottle with water at hand. And you are going to start by wetting your paint. And I get it rather wet. You want to activate the watercolors and get them nice and wet. None of these are expensive watercolors. I have more expensive watercolors, but honestly these are not, and it's really not necessary. These are more than ample. I'm just going to use a brush. So when you work with watercolors, you want to start as light as possible. You can always add more color in a second layer. But the beauty of watercolors is the fact that you can see the paper through the paint. If you paint too solidly, and it is possible, let me keep working this in one area. That translucency is lost, and this becomes dull. You can much rather, and this is the beauty of watercolor as well, you can activate again, even after it's dried, you can activate it again and you can work it away a bit. So that's the idea, is to not start too dark. It's the one thing I keep saying to people when I do watercolor lessons, and because patience is an acquired skill in an artist. None of us. I've never heard of anyone who started off as a patient artist. Maybe I'm wrong. I have not met someone like that. Most of us come with our impatience to the art room and we want to finish it. So we will hear the art teacher tell us to start off light with watercolors and to build the color up. But we will convince ourselves that we can do it in one go. And you end with a dead, dull painting. And then you wonder what went wrong. That's what went wrong. You were impatient. Now, once you've got this is actually not a first layer anymore, but once you've got your first layer in place, you're going to decide where you want other bits of color to come in. And see how I can now add a bit of variety, because I wasn't, well, utterly impatient, because I actually worked away the impatience there. Maybe a bit of yellow, which is going to become greenish, because that's what happens when we mix blue and... But can you see that patience allows me to develop this? Impatience and watercolors do not mix. Now, another thing that's absolutely beautiful about watercolors is this, that you can do this. You wet your page. This is maybe a little overly wet. You just dab it down a bit. Okay, so you wet your page. And now you bring your color in. And you just allow your color to run into all this wetness. And it will not go further than the area that you've wetted. That's where it will stop. So this is wet in wet. And that's wet on dry. And these are two different techniques. Another technique is called dry brushing. And let me get a drier brush here. Now remember, your paints have been wetted, okay? But dry brushing, let me come here, is not wetting the brush first. It's working with a dry brush. And now you are going to get those darks, but with the variations. And isn't that lovely? So these are three different techniques. That's dry on dry, that's wet on dry, and that's wet and wet. And those are, those are the things you can play with in watercolors. It's as simple and as intricate as it is. If you have put down too much color, or your color ran to the wrong place on the page, or whatever it is that's happened, you can come, let me do that. Let me make a spot like that, okay. Where I now work really, really dark. And after I've created that, I decide that that's ugly. I don't like that. Now I can come with my paper towel or serviette or kitchen towel or whatever it is. I've got a dry wet wipe here. And I can dab away some of that color. But that's still, look at that versus any of these others. It's dull, it's boring, it's not nice. It's just not nice. So now let's bring some water in here. And we dab at it again. And can you see how much of that paint I can lift? That's the beauty of watercolor. Am I going to take all of the paint away? No, I can't return to white because the color will fix itself in the paper. It's going to run into the paper itself. But I can take a whole lot of that mess by dabbing, not scrubbing, dabbing the wetness and the color, the excess color away. Did that help? I hope that was helpful. I really do. Do you see why I like these little scrap pieces of paper? They're actually fantastic to work on. Okay, now let me get up and see that this is still in focus. I think I need to put this one somewhere else so I don't keep working over the picture. I think that'll do it. I don't want to stretch my arm over the picture every time I go for the water, but at the same time I want you to see when I reach for the water. Let me rearrange things here. Let me rearrange. Okay. What's the point of a palette like this? Let me do that as well while we're doing this watercolor lesson. So a palette like this, I'm actually going to start with some water on there. Now you don't have to, but I'm going to start with some water on it. Now I can bring in a color here that I like. I'll just take this cord out of my way. Okay. And I decide, okay, that's a nice color, but I want it to be a bit of a different shade. Anything I do with this is going to make it brown. So let's bring in the blue. I decide I want this blue to be mixed with this. Oh, it's going to make a nice, wow, it's actually a very nice color. What would this look like on paper? Like that. That's nice. That's very nice. Oh, I like that color. It's an accidental mix, but I actually like. It's a very nice midnight bluish color that I've created. So what if I don't want to put the water down first? Then what do? Let me just wash my brush. You see, I'm again over the picture. Okay, let me do this then. Goodness. I really am trying to... Okay. Now I'm just going to... Okay, the water cannot be on camera. Because now I'm going to bump it over with those little lids standing up. And that's not going to be good either. Okay, so if I don't want to put water down first, I can just bring the color in. Because remember, we have activated the paints and my brush is already wet. So I bring in a bit of color to my palette like this. And then I decide that green is way too blue for me. I want to mix that with a yellow to get a more yellowish green. So now I go for my yellow color. And I put that down here. And I decide, yes, let me start mixing these two. Until I'm satisfied with what I've achieved. And I kind of test it. And I go, that's nice. The pure yellow, well, brush is a bit wet for a pure. But these are a range that we can now get from this. And can you see, if I was painting a landscape, this would be fantastic to work from the foreground to the background. Let me explain that. Warm colors advance and cool colors recede. So if you're painting a landscape or a face or anything for that matter, whatever is in your warmer colors is going to appear closer, and whatever is in your cool colors will appear further away. Let me bring this in again. Can you see that this, I'll get more yellow here. That would appear to be the foreground, and the further away, I just need to wash my brush because it's a bit yellow now. The further away I go to the back, the bluer I would make the landscape, so that I have an advancing foreground and a receding background. That's the idea with painting. That's how we take a two-dimensional painting and we create the illusion of 3 dimensions, depth. Now I'm going to say something that to a lot of you this will be general knowledge, but I've been watching arts and crafts videos and noticing how people don't know the difference between 2 and 3 dimensional, so that they will even talk about 4 dimensions and sometimes 5, and that's ridiculous. So when you have a single line, that is a single dimension. When you have 2 lines, that is 2 dimensions. And a cube becomes 3 lines, 3 measurements, that's 3-dimensional, and that's as far as it goes. There are no more dimensions after that. So on a 2-dimensional, a square piece of paper, we can create the illusion of a 3rd dimension, but we can't actually create, well, we can create the 3rd dimension if we start building up, but otherwise we mostly work with the illusion of 3 dimensions. I don't know why I'm getting so technical, but in any case, I just did. Now I'm wetting my paint again because it's becoming dry while I'm chattering on like a chatterbox. So when we now paint our face, and I'm not a portrait artist, so I'm actually a little bit out of my depth here. We are going to start with a rather predictable flesh color. I don't know. I'm white, so to me this is predictable. To someone else, you're going to go darker. I don't know. You know, we each of us need to decide for ourselves what flesh color means. And honestly, from one painting to the next, it won't mean the same thing. It won't be interpreted the same way. And at this point, I'm just really putting down a base layer. I'm not overly concerned with light and shadow, because I will still build up everything with a 2nd and a 3rd layer and whatever it is, right? I'm not doing that in this initial first layer. Oh, there are people who know something about portrait painting who's probably laughing out loud now. Feel free to do so. I'm not a portrait artist. I wish I were. I should practice it more. Well, I guess I am practicing it now. So, good for me. Okay. Now, here, the chin is going to cast a shadow here. That should be darker. And these are things that I am now aware of, but not addressing just yet. I got some paint in the eyeball there. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. Let's add some color to the ears. And in this painting, this very first initial facial painting, I'm not going to try to develop intricate hair or anything like that. I'm going to be nice and kind to myself and my fellow students, and we're going to keep it very, very, very simple. I'm going to come in with a browner color. I have to say I'm not too fond of the browns in this set. It's as if they're lacking a proper brown. I've got a proper brown in that set. I can always go there. Oh dear, okay, well. I think what I must do is to wet this. Let's bring in this brown. Now, do you see the similarities in those colors? And these are the two colors that I'm using. It's odd that they are that close. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not going to get caught up in that. For this lesson, really, if you just walk away having achieved actually just this already, become familiar with the ratios, the golden ratios, and you've put down an initial layer that allows the white of the paper to show through. If you've managed that, then I'm more than happy with what you've achieved. Now, we're not going to leave it there, obviously, but that would be a humongous step in the right direction already. Why am I using this brush? Goodness, what am I hoping to achieve with that brush? If I want to paint the eyes, let me try with a different brush. Ooh, now you see there? Dead. We don't like that. We like that. Okay. Yeah, that'll do. Black, 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 black. Oi. Now these pupils are humongously small. Oh, tiny little things. It looks as if this person is looking directly into the light. I think we need to change that here. Oh, anyways. No, I said I'm not going to get caught up in that, so let me not. Let me try not to. Now, I did not erase any of the pencil lines, and normally, well, depending on what I want to do, there are different techniques as well. But normally I would lighten my pencil lines so that they're only barely visible in a watercolor painting. But in this case, we're actually learning about the proportions as well, so we'll leave it be. Yeah, there's a lot that should happen in this face still. Yeah, which color? That one. It's maybe not pink enough. That's too pink. Okay, so let's put a bit of pink there. But come back with this one. And really want to do that. That's very, very pink. My goodness. Poor thing. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. Now, let's come in with this palette. And we'll grab ourselves a bit of brown. And then we'll grab ourselves a bit of this flesh color. And we'll create that bit of shadow that we were missing. Now, that shadow is also going to be here. It's going to be here. It's going to be there. It's going to be there. It's going to be there. Now it's extremely exaggerated at this stage, but can you see how I am looking at where the shadows would fall on a face, and then I am darkening those areas so that I can start turning this face into a more dimensional face. Now we want a bit of dimension here on the sides. And over here as well, okay. It's a terrible hairline, this one. Let me just get that out of my way. It's horrendous. It really is horrendous. Those are the fold lines. And they're going to be quite a bit darker on the face. And as we keep on building this up, you'll see the face starting to take shape. It's starting to take shape. Slowly and surely. As you keep working it. Oh, those eyes are still terrible. Absolutely terrible. It's that's so much better. Let them at least exist. Goodness gracious. Which brushes do I use? Every person has their own favorites. I kind of like the idea of this coming in like this. And I tend to use these full bits. I like the full bits. I think they are marvelous little brushes. And they allow for such detail. This is actually amazing. So they're some of my favorites. Probably not quite as dark as all that. Aye. the side of the nose. Do it, do it, do it, do it. Okay, in any case, you would continue building up this little face with its little facial features until you're satisfied that all of the things are in place. Now the big one that we need to work on, we still haven't done, and those are the pupils. Those are the ones that'll make or break the painting. The hair, not so much, but the pupils. I've picked up a bit of black to put in the hair. Okay, now let's look at painting these. We need white flecks back in the eyes, but we'll see what we can do about that. Let's she looks like she's got very bloodshot eyes. I suppose I could lift that a bit. I'm sure I could. It's maybe a bit better. Let's bring some gouache in there. Some white. Yeah, it's a little bit better. It looks a bit cocoa to me. Oh, the eyes, they are. the ones that we need to get right, just right, because we will look this girl in the eyes. Now what shall we do with your hair, dear? I just want to take some of this bloom away down here as well. This thing is now giving off color. I should get a clean one, but I actually don't mind a bit of color there. Okay, so shall we? Maybe we shall. Wait. Let's bring in some of this brown again. And let's bring in some of the black again. Ay, brush. Yeah, go and dirty my page now, will you? And I'm just going to dip this fan brush and just give her a bit of a more wispiness as far as the hair is concerned. Just want to, I don't actually want to paint hair too much. Oh my goodness. Honestly, where's that brush? There's not enough color there. Oh, she just looks better now that the hair's come alive. I'm actually going to pick up that blue, why not? I think that might just be the color I need. Yeah. Okay. so we will leave that be because I don't want to do a whole thing on the hair. Okay. I seriously just could not leave this woman. Person, whatever, he, she, I don't know. Suppose it's a woman. Now, back to those pupils. And what we should have done was to leave some white in the middle of the eye, and since I didn't, I'm going to just cheat a little and put it in with a pen. I'm going to need to wait for this to dry. But that is essentially what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can do this quickly. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. Okay. That's not 100% right, but I don't want to come back to this one. So once you're done with your painting, you are going to, and honestly, it's not really one that I want to paint my name at, but I will. You are simply going to sign your painting. It didn't come out too badly, all things considered, but sure, loads more practice before I'll call myself a portrait artist. Starting from this very stark face. Yeah, we didn't do too badly, I think. Okay, anyways, that's it for our person's face, our first painting. And I am then going to stick this into the book now, but I think I need to let it dry first. So I'll come back to you with a second project in the next video. Cheers guys, see you in the next one.